Hollywood is officially burning to the ground, and the fire was started by none other than the industry's golden boy himself, Michael B. Jordan. On March 15, 2026, the world watched him walk onto the Dolby Theater stage, visibly shaking, crying, and clutching his mother's hand like his life depended on it. We all thought we were witnessing a historic, deeply emotional Oscar win for his blockbuster film Sinners. But what if I told you that those tears weren't from gratitude? What if those trembling hands were actually the terrifying physical aftermath of a literal, real-life blood pact? The internet spent the last week arguing about the film's hidden layers of Deep South folklore and voodoo symbolism. But while you were all distracted by the cinematic metaphors, our deep-cover Hollywood insiders just leaked the real script. The terrifying truth is that Ryan Coogler didn't just direct a movie about a supernatural crossroads ritual in Mississippi. He and Michael B. Jordan actually performed one. We are talking about a highly calculated, elite-level Hollywood industry ritual designed to trade human souls for 16 history-making Academy Award nominations and a casual $370 million box office payout. Grab your popcorn and lock your doors, because today we are tearing down the velvet curtain. We are exposing the dark, multi-million-dollar spiritual scam that Michael B. Jordan accidentally uncovered during the most talked-about acceptance speech of the decade. Who really collected the profits? Let's find out. The illusion of Hollywood glamour has officially shattered, and it is time to look at the cold, hard facts of how this entire industry operates behind closed doors. To understand how Michael B. Jordan ended up shaking on that stage, we have to look at the bizarre timeline leading up to the release of this massive film. Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan have been working together for over 14 years, creating a string of massive hits that made billions for major studios. But our anonymous insider sources within the studio system claim that the creative relationship took a dark, transactional turn during the pre-production of this latest horror project. The rumor mill in Los Angeles has been spinning out of control, with leaked reports suggesting that the production of this movie was plagued by unexplainable events, secret midnight meetings, and a budget that seemed to disappear into thin air. We are talking about a $90 million production where millions of dollars were allegedly funneled into private consulting fees for real-life occult practitioners brought straight from the Deep South to the closed sets in Hollywood. Staff members who worked on the set have allegedly signed non-disclosure agreements with massive financial penalties, just to keep them from talking about the strange ceremonies that took place before the cameras even started rolling. The industry talk is no longer about lighting, cameras, or acting techniques, but about the terrifying length an actor will go to secure a permanent spot in the history books. For years, the public has been fed a clean narrative about hard work and dedication, but the sudden unprecedented success of this specific project has caused even the most hardened industry veterans to question what really happened behind the scenes. This film did not just perform well at the box office. It absolutely dominated the cultural landscape in a way that defied all traditional marketing logic, grossing over $370 million worldwide almost overnight. When you look closely at the casting choices and the creative choices made by the production team, the patterns become impossible to ignore. The mainstream media wants you to believe that Michael B. Jordan achieved a masterclass in acting by playing twin brothers simultaneously, a feat that allegedly required him to shoot every single sequence 4 or 5 times to maintain consistency. They want you to focus on the technical achievement of digitally compositing 2 performances together, calling it the hardest professional challenge of his entire career. But according to whispers from the editing room, the actual footage captured during those late-night shoots contained anomalies that left the digital effects team completely terrified. Our deep-cover entertainment sources claim that the decision to set the film in Clarksdale, Mississippi, was not just a tribute to the legendary blues musician Robert Johnson, but a deliberate attempt to tap into an active, ancient spiritual grid. The legend of Robert Johnson selling his soul at the intersection of Highways 49 and 61 in 1932 has been told for decades as a piece of musical folklore. But what if the elite creators of this project discovered that the folklore was actually a blueprint for ultimate industry power, a literal guide on how to manifest unlimited wealth and critical acclaim by making a heavy spiritual sacrifice? The controversy deepens when you examine the sudden public moves of the Harvey family and Lori Harvey, whose past relationship with Michael B. Jordan has been the subject of endless tabloid speculation. High-level social media commentators have pointed out that the timing of certain public statements and high-profile breakups perfectly aligns with the secretive timeline of this movie's production phases. The streets are talking, and the theory circulating among top digital investigators is that the sudden dissolution of major Hollywood relationships is often the first hidden cost of entering into these elite, multi-million-dollar industry agreements. People are starting to realize that the lavish lifestyle, the sudden influx of international wealth, and the historic critical acclaim are never truly free in the entertainment business. The public reactions across online platforms have transformed from simple movie reviews into full-blown investigative threads, with users analyzing every single frame of the film for hidden corporate and spiritual messages. The mainstream film critics spent weeks writing long essays about the deeper layers of folklore, ritual, and American history buried inside what looked like a standard vampire horror movie, completely missing the real-life drama playing out right in front of them. The narrative being pushed by the studio is that the film functions as a brilliant, sophisticated metaphor for how Black artistic talent has been historically consumed, controlled, and exploited by white commercial institutions. They claim the vampires in the movie represent the ruthless music executives who historically took the profits of the Delta blues while leaving the original creators with absolutely nothing. But our sources suggest this clever historical metaphor was actually the perfect smokescreen designed to distract the public from the reality that a modern corporate entity was doing the exact same thing in real time. The suspicious nature of the entire production becomes even more apparent when you look at the unprecedented deal Ryan Coogler negotiated with Warner Brothers, which allegedly grants him eventual full ownership rights to the film. In a town where directors are routinely stripped of their creative control and financial equity, a deal of this magnitude is virtually unheard of unless something highly unusual was offered at the negotiation table. The internet is flooded with speculation that this contract was not won through standard Hollywood legal maneuvering, but was part of a much larger, highly confidential transaction that involved assets far more valuable than mere intellectual property. As the public began to sit with the movie after the credits rolled, the initial wave of entertainment gossip quickly transformed into an intense panic about the state of the industry. People started asking why a highly successful, established actor like Michael B. Jordan would be visibly shaking and crying so intensely upon receiving an award he has been working toward for his entire adult life. The official narrative says it was pure gratitude for becoming only the sixth Black man to win the Best Actor award in nearly 100 years of Academy history, but the alternative media is convinced those tears were a sign of immense psychological distress. The leaked reports from anonymous assistants who were present backstage at the Dolby Theater paint a completely different picture of what happened the moment the cameras cut away to a commercial break. These eyewitnesses claim that Michael B. Jordan had to be treated for a severe panic attack in his dressing room, repeatedly whispering phrases that left his management team scrambling to clear the area. The public only saw the polished, emotional acceptance speech where he paid tribute to his lineage, naming Sidney Poitier, Denzel Washington, Jamie Foxx, Forrest Whitaker, and Will Smith as if he was reclaiming something long overdue. The dramatic contrast between the triumphant public image and the chaotic reality behind the scenes has triggered a massive wave of skepticism across global entertainment forums. Serious commentators are pointing out that the traditional Hollywood studio system is currently experiencing a massive crisis of faith, with audiences turning away from corporate media and actively looking for the hidden truths behind major cultural events. The sudden, explosive success of a movie explicitly centered around a midnight deal at a Mississippi crossroads has only added fuel to the fire, convincing millions that the line between fiction and reality has been permanently blurred. The tension continues to build as independent journalists begin to dig into the financial records of the production companies involved in financing this record-breaking film. There are massive, unexplained gaps in the international banking transactions associated with the promotional tour, with large sums of cash allegedly being traced back to private offshore accounts held by shadowy media elites. This financial trail suggests that the $90 million budget was merely the public-facing portion of a much larger, highly complex operation designed to manipulate the cultural landscape for specific industry agendas. The social media landscape has become a digital battlefield, with millions of fans defending the artistic integrity of the filmmakers, while an equal number of skeptics demand a full disclosure of what occurred during the closed-set filming in Mississippi. The discussion has moved far beyond the boundaries of standard movie trivia, evolving into a widespread debate about the secret structures that govern success, power, and fame in modern society. Every single interview given by the cast and crew during the press junkets is now being heavily cross-examined by online detectives looking for slips of the tongue or coded language. The most alarming aspect of this developing situation is the total silence from major industry watchdogs, who seem completely unwilling to investigate the growing list of anomalies surrounding the film's production. This collective avoidance has only solidified the belief that the highest levels of the entertainment industry are fully aware of the true nature of this project, and are actively working to suppress any real investigative breakthroughs. The stage has been set for a massive cultural reckoning, as the public refuses to accept the standard public relations responses, and continues to demand the real story hidden inside the fiction. The weight of these unanswered questions is beginning to take a visible toll on everyone involved, as the pressure from the alternative media begins to breach the secure walls of the major Hollywood talent agencies. The handlers and publicists are reportedly working around the clock to manage the narrative, but the sheer volume of leaked information and public suspicion has made total damage control an impossible task. The cracks in the foundation are starting to show, and the public is about to get an unrestricted look at the terrifying corporate mechanisms that truly control the spotlight. The mystery does not stop at the financial records or the backstage panic attacks, because the actual content of the movie contains a specific sequence that many believe was a literal manifestation of the alleged industry ritual. This brings us directly to the breakdown of the most controversial scene in the entire film, an event that broke the internet and forced critics to spend weeks trying to decipher what was actually happening beneath the surface of the celluloid. The breakdown of this entire controversy centers on that exact juke joint sequence, a moment in the film that our deep cover studio insiders claim was not just a marvel of modern digital cinematography. According to leaked production notes from anonymous crew members who were present on the closed set, this specific scene was filmed under conditions that can only be described as highly irregular and deeply unsettling. The official press releases state that the sequence was an artistic tribute to the historical lineage of Black American music, utilizing a single, extended camera take to blend different musical eras together in real time. But the alternative media and independent internet investigators are now convinced that the scene was used as a literal cover for an active, multi-million-dollar industry ritual. The rumors coming out of the editing bays suggest that during the filming of this sequence, the atmospheric pressure inside the building dropped so drastically that the production equipment began to malfunction. Cameras reportedly shut down without explanation, and audio engineers allegedly captured strange, low-frequency white noise that did not originate from any instrument in the room. The public saw a breathtaking cinematic achievement where the ceiling of the juke joint disappears to reveal a cracked, supernatural sky, while the spirits of musical pioneers materialize around the dancers. But our sources claim that the actors on the floor were not just performing choreographed steps. They were experiencing a highly charged, manufactured environment designed to induce a state of mass hysteria. The public reactions to this specific part of the film have been absolutely unprecedented, with thousands of moviegoers reporting intense feelings of vertigo, disorientation, and sudden emotional outbursts while watching it in theaters. This has triggered a massive wave of online speculation, with digital commentators suggesting that the soundtrack of the film utilizes secret, subliminal frequencies designed to manipulate the psychological state of the audience. The mainstream media has tried to dismiss these claims as wild conspiracy theories, attributing the audience's intense reactions to the sheer emotional power of Ryan Coogler's writing and Autumn Durald Arkapa's award-winning cinematography. However, the sheer volume of identical reports from completely unrelated viewers across global entertainment forums tells a very different story. The controversy deepens when you examine the secret financial transactions that occurred right before this scene was shot, with leaked corporate ledgers showing a sudden spike in unaccounted spending. Millions of dollars from the $90 million budget were reportedly moved through shell companies based in Delaware and Switzerland, eventually being withdrawn as physical cash in the state of Mississippi. Our investigative sources within the Hollywood banking system suggest that this money was used to secure the silence of local authorities and to pay for private, highly secure transportation for a group of unnamed international elites who visited the set. This hidden financial trail completely contradicts the studio's narrative that the movie was a straightforward, low-waste independent production backed by traditional corporate finance. The public backlash has begun to intensify as independent journalists discover that several high-ranking Hollywood executives made sudden, unannounced trips to Clarksdale, Mississippi, during the exact weeks the Crossroads sequence was being filmed. These were not standard creative producers or studio scouts, but elite suits and tie corporate board members who rarely, if ever, leave their high-rise offices in Los Angeles and New York. The presence of these power players on a gritty, remote southern set has raised massive red flags among industry watchdogs, who believe a high-stakes corporate agreement was being finalized under the guise of an artistic film shoot. The theory circulating among top alternative news channels is that this movie was used as a massive tax shelter and a grand public stage for a transition of power within the elite entertainment syndicates. The narrative being pushed by the studio's public relations team continues to insist that the film is a pure allegory about the historical exploitation of black creative talent by predatory commercial systems. They want the public to believe that the villain of the film, an ancient vampire named Remick who travels the world consuming musical traditions, is just a fictional representation of historical greed. But our insider reports suggest that the character of Remick was actually based on a very real, highly secretive group of modern media conglomerates who control the global entertainment landscape. The offer that Remick makes to the young guitar prodigy in the film, an offer of ultimate global immortality in exchange for total creative control, perfectly mirrors the standard contracts handed out by major talent agencies today. The internet is now flooded with deep dive analysis videos dissecting every single word of Michael B. Jordan's promotional interviews, with viewers pointing out several moments where the actor appeared deeply uncomfortable. In one specific late-night talk show appearance, when asked about the intense physical toll of playing twin brothers, Jordan stated that the process required him to completely surrender his own identity to the production. The mainstream press interpreted this as a dedication to the craft of method acting, praising his commitment to a highly technical and emotionally draining double performance. But alternative commentators are highlighting that his specific choice of words, combined with his recent history of sudden isolation from his usual social circles, points to a much more sinister reality. The situation has become even more volatile with the sudden involvement of high-profile social media influencers, who claim to have obtained leaked emails from the talent agency representing the film's core cast. These alleged emails describe a series of fierce, behind-the-scenes arguments between the actor's personal management teams and the studio's legal department regarding the inclusion of specific spiritual phrases in the script. The reports suggest that the actors were initially hesitant to perform certain scenes that closely mimicked real-world occult ceremonies, fearing a massive public backlash if the true nature of the material was ever discovered. The studio, however, allegedly used massive financial leverage and ironclad contract clauses to force the production forward exactly as planned. The public reaction has shifted from admiration of the film's artistic merits to an intense, widespread skepticism regarding the true motives of the people who financed it. On global digital platforms, users are actively comparing the film's box office trajectory to past Hollywood projects that were rumored to have received hidden backing from elite secret societies. The fact that Sinners grossed over $370 million worldwide against all traditional industry projections has only solidified the belief that the game was rigged from the very beginning. People are demanding to know how a dark, challenging, deeply historical horror film managed to achieve the kind of universal mainstream saturation usually reserved for family-friendly superhero franchises. The tension within the industry is reaching a boiling point as independent researchers begin to investigate the historical background of the real-life locations used throughout the movie. Clarksdale, Mississippi, is world-famous for its connection to the blues, but it also possesses a dark history of unsolved disappearances, land theft, and corporate exploitation dating back to the early 20th century. Our investigative teams have uncovered local property records, showing that the specific plots of land where the film's juke joint set was constructed are currently owned by a mysterious real estate trust with direct ties to major media moguls. This discovery has led to widespread speculation that the film production was used to permanently lock down a historically significant geographical area for private, elite purposes. The narrative of the film states that the main character, Sammy, ultimately rejects the vampire's corrupt offer, choosing to preserve his creative soul, and eventually migrating north to Chicago to play his music on his own terms. The filmmakers have stated in multiple high-profile panel discussions that this ending was designed to be a triumphant celebration of Black resilience and cultural reclamation against predatory systems. But our sources suggest that this inspiring cinematic conclusion was intentionally written to give the audience a false sense of closure and security, masking the fact that the real-world creators of the project did not reject the corporate deal. While the fictional character survives with his soul intact, the real-world production was busy collecting massive multi-million-dollar payouts from the exact systems the film claims to criticize. The sudden, intense scrutiny has forced the studio to implement a massive digital damage control campaign, with algorithms allegedly suppressing independent video essays that attempt to analyze the film's hidden financial structures. Users across major video platforms have reported that their content is being systematically flagged, demonetized, or completely removed the moment they mention the specific banking anomalies or the closed-set ceremonies. This heavy-handed censorship has backfired completely, creating a massive Streisand effect where the public becomes even more desperate to uncover the exact information the corporate gatekeepers are trying so desperately to hide. The digital underground is now buzzing with alternative links and encrypted files containing the full, unedited testimonies of former production assistants. The weight of these developing scandals is beginning to create deep fractures within the elite Hollywood community itself, with several prominent actors and directors quietly distancing themselves from the film's creative team. Our sources at exclusive industry after-parties report that the historic 16 Academy Award nominations are being viewed by peers not as a badge of honor, but as a blatant display of corporate favoritism and political manipulation. The whispers in the dark suggest that the entire awards ceremony was meticulously orchestrated months in advance to validate this specific project and cement its creators as the undisputed leaders of the new Hollywood order. The public is left watching a highly polished theatrical illusion, completely unaware of the ruthless corporate warfare taking place just beyond the edge of the spotlight. The situation continues to escalate as independent legal experts weigh in on the unprecedented contract Ryan Coogler secured with Warner Bros. Regarding the eventual ownership rights of the film negative. Traditional entertainment lawyers are openly stating that a deal of this nature is practically impossible under standard corporate guidelines, as major studios never surrender their core intellectual property to a single individual. This has led to the widespread conclusion that the contract was the result of a massive, asymmetrical leverage play, where the director possessed information or assets so valuable that the studio executives had no choice but to capitulate to his extraordinary demands. The focus of the investigation is now shifting toward discovering the exact nature of that hidden leverage. The public anticipation is growing by the day as alternative news outlets promise to release a massive trove of leaked audio recordings from the film's post-production sessions. These recordings are rumored to contain candid, off-the-record conversations between top executives and the creative team, discussing the exact methods used to embed hidden messages within the film's complex sound design. As the digital clock ticks closer to the release of these files, the tension inside the major talent agencies has reached an all-time high, with publicists preparing for a massive fallout that could permanently alter the public's perception of modern cinema. The corporate facade is cracking, and the true mechanism behind the curtain is about to be completely laid bare for the entire world to see. The focus of the investigation is now shifting toward discovering the exact nature of that hidden leverage, which brings us straight into the terrifying financial and legal fallout that is currently shaking the highest floors of the entertainment industry. Following the release of those highly classified post-production audio files, multiple independent legal coalitions have officially filed formal petitions demanding a comprehensive federal probe into the studio's accounting practices. We are no longer just dealing with internet gossip or casual entertainment commentary, because real-world regulatory bodies are now looking directly at the massive, unexplained gaps in the international promotional budget of this historic motion picture. The public is starting to realize that the 16 Academy Award nominations and the $370 million box office haul might have been a massive front for a highly organized corporate manipulation scheme. The rumors of an impending government investigation have sent shockwaves through the major talent agencies in Los Angeles, with reports leaking that several top-tier executives are already preparing their sudden, quiet resignations. Anonymous corporate paralegals have claimed that shredding machines have been running continuously inside the executive suites of the distribution company, as handlers desperately try to erase the paper trail connecting elite board members to the secretive midnight shoots in Mississippi. The narrative of hard work and artistic genius is completely collapsing under the weight of these financial disclosures, exposing a ruthless infrastructure where public acclaim is bought, sold, and negotiated long before the public ever enters a movie theater. The digital landscape has transformed into an active crime watch forum, with millions of users tracking the flight paths of private corporate jets belonging to the individuals involved in financing the film. The fallout has reached a critical tipping point for the core cast members themselves, who are reportedly finding it increasingly difficult to maintain their carefully crafted public images amid the ongoing corporate crisis. Publicists are working around the clock to draft defensive statements, but their efforts are being completely neutralized by the continuous stream of leaked documents appearing on decentralized whistleblowing platforms. The alternative media has just uncovered a series of internal memos detailing a massive, multi-million-dollar emergency fund established by the studio specifically to manage any potential legal blowback regarding the psychological safety of the crew. This explosive revelation completely shatters the studio's official stance that the production was a harmonious, safe, and standard Hollywood workplace environment, proving that the corporate elite knew exactly how dangerous this project truly was. The tension has intensified to the point where major international streaming platforms are quietly reconsidering their future licensing agreements for the film, fearing a massive subscriber backlash if the federal probes turn into criminal indictments. This potential financial freeze could trigger one of the most severe corporate liquidity crises in modern Hollywood history, potentially bankrupting several independent production companies that tied their entire financial futures to the success of this single project. The public is watching the slow-motion collapse of a media empire in real time, as the highly polished illusion of cinematic prestige gives way to the gritty reality of corporate corruption, hidden agendas, and systemic greed. The conversation on social media is no longer about whether the movie deserved to win Best Original Screenplay or Best Cinematography, but about who will be left standing when the legal hammer finally drops. The suspicion surrounding the project has expanded far beyond the borders of the United States, as European and Asian film distributors begin to launch their own independent audits into the local marketing funds allocated for the international theatrical run. Investigative journalists overseas have discovered that large sums of currency were transferred to obscure marketing agencies that seem to exist only on paper, raising massive red flags regarding potential international money laundering operations. The theory being discussed by top economic analysts is that the $90 million production budget was merely the visible tip of an incredibly vast, global financial network used by elite media moguls to move capital across borders without traditional regulatory oversight. This massive international dimension has elevated the scandal from a localized Hollywood dispute into a full-scale global corporate investigation. The public backlash continues to grow exponentially as mainstream news outlets find themselves completely unable to ignore the mounting evidence of systemic irregularities surrounding the film's historic award sweep. For weeks, corporate media executives attempted to downplay the controversy, ordering their cultural commentators to focus exclusively on the groundbreaking technical achievement of Michael B. Jordan playing twin brothers and the historical significance of Autumn Durald Arkapa's historic cinematography win. However, the sheer volume of public demand for transparency has forced even the most conservative industry publications to publish cautious articles regarding the unusual contractual clauses granted to Ryan Coogler. The corporate gatekeepers are losing total control of the narrative, and the carefully constructed facade of cultural celebration is rapidly disintegrating into an unmanageable public relations disaster. The psychological toll on the creative team has become impossible to hide from the cameras, with independent paparazzi capturing footage of the filmmakers engaging in heated, tense arguments outside private corporate offices in Beverly Hills. Eyewitnesses claim that the standard camaraderie between the longtime collaborators has completely vanished, replaced by an atmosphere of intense paranoia and mutual distrust as the threat of legal accountability draws closer. The alternative media is reporting that separate legal defense teams have been retained by the director and the lead actor, a clear sign that the unified front presented during the Emotional Academy Awards ceremony was merely a performance designed to buy time. The public is beginning to realize that the deep cover insiders were right all along, and that the historic success of the project has carried a devastating personal and professional cost for everyone involved. The digital underground has just leaked another massive batch of encrypted files containing the raw, unedited audio stems from the controversial juke joint sequence, providing definitive proof of unusual acoustic engineering. Audio experts analyzing these files have confirmed the presence of complex, layered infrasound frequencies that are completely imperceptible to the human ear, but are known to trigger feelings of deep dread and anxiety in laboratory settings. This incredible discovery has provided solid scientific backing to the thousands of theatergoers who reported experiencing sudden, inexplicable physical symptoms while watching that specific part of the film. The revelation that a major Hollywood studio intentionally used advanced psychological acoustics to manipulate the emotional state of a global audience has triggered a massive wave of outrage across civil liberties groups worldwide. The situation has become so volatile that several high-profile corporate sponsors have officially pulled their multi-million-dollar advertising campaigns from all future promotional events associated with the film's home video and streaming release. This sudden loss of corporate backing has left the studio's financial department in a state of absolute panic, scrambling to cover the massive overhead costs of an international distribution infrastructure that is rapidly turning toxic. The public is witnessing a historic shift in power, as the collective refusal of audiences to accept manufactured corporate narratives forces the multi-billion-dollar entertainment syndicates to face the real-world consequences of their deceptive practices. The crumbling of this massive media venture serves as a stark warning to the rest of the industry that the era of total public manipulation is officially drawing to a close. The legal jeopardy deepens as a prominent group of independent shareowners has officially launched a massive class action lawsuit against the parent company of the distribution studio, alleging total breach of fiduciary duty and intentional concealment of material liabilities. The legal filings argue that the corporate board intentionally misled investors by hiding the true, highly volatile nature of the contract negotiated with Ryan Coogler regarding the permanent ownership rights of the film negative. This historic lawsuit could force the total disclosure of internal corporate communications that have been kept under lock and key for years, giving the public an unrestricted, unprecedented look at the ruthless legal maneuvers used to control global intellectual property. The corporate boardroom has been turned into a legal battleground, and the stakes could not possibly be any higher for the future of the entertainment industry. The narrative surrounding the film's production has now been completely turned upside down, with the public viewing the entire project not as a brilliant masterpiece of modern cinematic art, but as a highly calculated corporate operation designed to test the limits of cultural saturation. The ultimate irony of the entire situation is that the film's fictional story about a young musician refusing a corrupt deal for his soul has been completely overshadowed by the very real, highly corporate deals made by the people who manufactured the movie. The public has rejected the hollow public relations statements and is actively demanding a total restructuring of the systems that dictate who gets to succeed, who gets to hold power, and who gets to control the cultural narrative in modern society. The momentum for a massive cultural reckoning is now completely unstoppable, and the elite gatekeepers are running out of places to hide. The final pieces of the investigative puzzle are beginning to fall into place as independent digital detectives trace the final destination of the mysterious cash withdrawals made in the state of Mississippi during the filming of the Crossroads sequence. The financial records show that these elite corporate funds were ultimately transferred to private, highly secretive heritage trusts that have spent decades acquiring vast amounts of historical land throughout the Delta region. This stunning discovery suggests that the film production was merely the opening phase of a much larger, highly complex real estate consolidation project designed to permanently control culturally and historically significant territories for private, elite industry agendas. The truth has finally breached the secure walls of the corporate fortress, exposing a breathtaking network of exploitation that extends far beyond the silver screen. The corporate facade has officially collapsed, and the true mechanism behind the multi-million-dollar curtain is now completely exposed for the entire world to analyze, dissect, and reject. The historic 16 Academy Award nominations, the massive box office numbers, and the highly emotional public acceptance speeches have all been revealed as part of a meticulously orchestrated theatrical illusion designed to legitimize a massive corporate takeover. The public is no longer blinded by the flashing lights of the red carpet or the polished narratives of mainstream entertainment journalism, choosing instead to look directly at the cold, hard facts of the situation. The era of silent compliance is officially over, and the collective voice of an awakened global audience is currently rewriting the rules of the entire entertainment landscape from the ground up. The illusion is gone, the corporate mask has been completely ripped off, and the terrifying truth behind modern Hollywood is officially out in the open. Now that you know the dark financial schemes, the secret midnight transactions, and the advanced psychological manipulation hidden inside sinners, the real question is left entirely up to you. Are you going to keep blindly swallowing the polished narratives fed to you by the mainstream media? Or are you ready to keep digging deeper into what is actually happening behind the velvet curtain? Was Michael B. Jordan's emotional breakdown on that stage a moment of pure gratitude? Or was it the crushing realization of the true corporate cost of ultimate industry power? What do you think really happened out there on those closed sets in the Mississippi Delta? Let me know your wildest theories in the comments section below, because the internet is burning up with speculation, and I want to know exactly where you stand on this massive scandal. If you are tired of the corporate cover-ups and you want to ensure you never miss another deep cover celebrity investigation, make sure to smash that like button right now. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, turn on your post notifications, and share this video with everyone you know. The truth is a powerful weapon, and we are just getting started exposing the real elite forces pulling the strings in Hollywood. Thank you for watching, stay vigilant, and I will definitely see you in the next one.